We're live.
What do you do? Thumbs up.
What's up, bro?
Are you serious?
I unthumbs it. Unthumbs it.
Oh, great.
Unthumbs it.
Awesome.
You want to throw me mine, Randy?
Oh, wait a minute.
Your what? Your phone? Your car?
Hey, while you're up there, too, I got one up there. I don't know what. I have this one
It's
charger.
at least 50%.
Yeah.
My charger will bring it from like 19 up to like 78 in like 13
Hey,
minutes.
technically you don't need mine, you need his. Oh wait, you all are gonna look at each other?
Sure.
In your life?
Good question.
It's gonna be a really quiet show.
Cool.
Everybody has to tune in. Are you gonna tune in too, Janelle?
I got a chair set up for you in here, Janelle.
I have Messenger, but I don't have Facebook.
Oh.
I spend too much time on it.
Oh, great. Now you can hear me. Move that. What?
Can't find my sprinking. Are you seeing this shit, man? You can't make it up.
Oh, I've been asked about springs all day.
Alrighty.
That is an expensive build that a customer's waiting, and you know what it's waiting for? Rear springs. That's the only thing keeping it from shipping out. It's ready to go, you know? That's still that same one that I showed you a month ago, you know? It sucks, but it is what it is. Thank you,
Pink
COVID.
ones?
Randy, you purposely like cut
Pink
yourself
ears.
out.
I have 5 sets.
But not,
Not dual rate.
no, not dual rate, single rate.
I have 5 pairs.
Well, let me buy a set when mine come into Jake's. I'd like to get this guy's car, you know?
They're sitting in my house.
What was I going to say? Oh, I remember. Welcome to episode 27, everybody. I think we've been live for like 37 minutes.
See what you already have. See, you only need. Okay, Ricky, the spring's $500 and you're set.
Fuck that, dude. I mean, no.
So you finish buying so you can buy his other shit.
Yeah.
$500.
500. Taking bids.
Wait, did we just meet and
I'm
I
gonna do a
scratched
waffle.
your truck in a
I'm
parking
going to
lot?
do a waffle on them. You can buy some spots.
Fuck you.
This is the blooper show.
Okay, so welcome.
Alan Craig just said waffle pink springs.
Oh, that's funny.
Even Jake Ricky waffle the spring.
No, if Ricky's got 5 sets of springs, he's going to give me one for that car, and I will give him 2 sets when they come in. I have like 5 or 10 sets on order with Jake.
Done deal. Thanks.
Yeah. Did you see that? I just sacrificed my car for your car. I take the ones off my car, but they're all chipped up and stuff. So, welcome to episode 27, everybody. As most of you guys know, tonight we'll be covering R1. Let's give some shout outs first of all. Let's give a shout out to Paul Peterson at Shark Bodies. I've been mentioning for the last couple weeks that there's something big coming, and we finally got the last one done, and it looks great, and stuff's going to be rolling in the next week. So, week or two, something will happen, and we'll go from there. So, thanks, Paul. Paul's working his butt off. I know last night on the new project he was up till 4:30 in the morning. I don't know how the guy does it. He just works around the clock. So, Shark RC Bodies, Dirt Oval Bodies. Check out his street stock stuff. If you run Dirt Oval, stuff's sweet, dude. It really is. I wish we had some Dirt Oval up here. I really miss having a Dirt Oval track closer. You know, I mean, we got Brian out there, but it's hard to get out there sometimes. So. Let's give a shout out to Troy Schroeder of Phantom RC Products. If you guys have been watching the show and following us thus far, you know that we love our Phantom RC products, our batteries, our motors, and his stuff is top notch. If Phantom's been around since God, I think the early '90s. I don't even know when they're EST from. So I'm going to give a shout out to Troy Schroeder, to Milo Carvalho of Flash Packs. If you don't have a flash pack, if you're looking to get a flash pack, if you're just getting into this and you don't know what a flash pack is, reach out to Milo, get yourself a flash pack. We use them for a reason because they work good. So I want to give a shout out to Steve Negri of RCRI, RC Racing Innovations, chassis, drag race kits. He's got Pro Stock and Pro Mod and top fuel rail kits, all carbon fiber, super high, top notch. The motorcycle that we keep talking about, we got to get one.
And Black Widow.
What's
I
that?
think it's called the Black Widow. The motorcycle. I think
That
it's
would mean
called
everything
Black
he's
Widow,
got calls the Black
too.
Widow.
I think it is.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh my god. So yeah, RC Racing Innovations. Want to give a huge shout out to our local hobby shop, Jake Rosen at Jake's Performance Hobbies, Hunter, Tim, all the guys. You can reach them at 707-586-3375. They ship to the lower 48. He's even made some exceptions for certain orders to other places. But, as far as I know, he ships to the lower 48. He's open Tuesday through Saturday, and you can get a hold of him. And for all your RC and drag car needs. So, other than that, you guys want to give some shout outs?
I'm trying to get my phone to
Jason at
work.
Raw Speed, definitely a big shout.
Jason at Raw Speed, yeah.
Yep.
What's up, Jason? I want to give another shout out. I know we recapped Race Wars last week. I want to recap, to all the non-companies, the little guys that called me up or called Randy or Rick up and said, hey man, I really believe in what you guys are doing. I want to donate something, and whether it was a body or a wheelie bar or whatever it is, all that stuff made a difference, because this little piece and this little piece and this little piece just amounted to this mound of parts that we were able to give away at our race, and we were able to really help a good charity, St. Jude. So thank you to all you guys. You know who you are. Anybody else, Randy? Randy would like to give a shout out to his parents for always being there for him.
Especially his mom.
Me too. Hi, Mom, if you're watching. As always, I want to give the biggest shout out to the men and women in law enforcement and fire. Thankfully, the fires have calmed down a lot, and the smoke is. We can actually see the sky again. So that's always fun.
It's not dusk all day long.
Yeah, we 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, even 3 in the afternoon, it was like somebody never turned the light on. I felt like we were living in Alaska, or something like that. It was really weird. So I've never seen anything in my life like that. So, I'd like to give a shout out to all of our military personnel and everybody who keeps us safe while we're sleeping at night. And let's get into this. So tonight we're going to cover the R1 Works. 3 years ago, I got into it, and I got guided by a couple local guys towards Hobbywing, and I got on with Hobbywing, and I got on the Hobbywing bandwagon, and I started with the XR10 Pro, and very, very fast I was able to figure out some stuff that not a lot of people did, and it shot me to the top. Once I got to the top, I sat there for a while, and after a while I was like, I need to share some of this knowledge, and I started sharing the knowledge. And as I shared the knowledge, the guys figured out how to get faster and faster, and so I started pushing my XR10 Pro to the limit. And because I had showed a lot of these guys what I did to get to the first stage, they were able to figure the rest out and be right there with me. And next thing you know, it was people were breathing down my neck, and it wasn't as safe up at the top, and which I was okay with. That's why I did it. I wanted the competition. But it got me to the point to where I was running on the ragged edge with the XR10 Pro at all times, and I would I'd be Captain Kirk in the bridge saying, Scotty, give her all she's got, and then I leave the pit and I go up to line up, and I would win a race by a fender, and I'd be like, man, I gotta pull something else out of this car. And usually I found what it took to keep the wins the rest of the day off of tuning alone, the car being so consistent, the car leaving as hard as it does, stuff like that. But eventually I wanted to branch out and have more power, and just after that it started happening with other people. Next thing you know, there was just this cloud storm of people blowing XR10 Pros up because we were just pushing the envelope. We were at the capabilities. XR10 Pro, first and foremost, anybody who's I'm a huge Hobbywing fan. They make great stuff, and the XR10 Pro is an absolutely hands down badass speed control. You can win some races in your area with one. I happen to be grateful enough, and these guys happen to be grateful enough to live in an area where we have so many people into this that there's a lot of competition that we bred a couple years ago. And so we searched out, and I have again, I mention him all the time, a close factory racer of mine, Matt Kidd. These guys are buddies with him too. And Matt Kidd, he said, you know what? He gave me a tip to, so I talked to this guy named Steve I know, and I said, who's Steve? And he goes, well, he owns R1 Works. And I knew who R1 Works was, and I contacted him, I reached out, I got some gear, and I haven't looked back since. Now, I want to say at the end of last season, I was starting to be like that girl meme where he's walking with his girlfriend and he's looking back and she's looking ugly at him and he's looking at the other girl and then somebody writes something, you know, and I was with Hobbywing and I was looking over at R1, you know what I mean? But because I was under contract with Hobbywing, I couldn't go to a race. So I could go practice wherever I wanted and do it, but if I go to any races and not have a Hobbywing in the car, I didn't want to find out what would happen. So I stuck with Hobbywing, and at that point, I think Randy was kind of at the notion that he wanted to jump, you know, try this R1 stuff out.
Or he had a digital too.
And he had picked up a digital too, and he got into it, and he did very well with it. And just for the simple fact that their rating was 220 and everybody else's was 160, I actually, after a year and a half, I reached out to I won't mention his name because I'm not with them anymore, but I reached out to my regional Hobbywing North America manager and I said, look, I love your guys' products. I'll still use them in my cars. You know, but this one specific type of racing that I do, I need something that's more powerful, and I don't feel that you guys are anytime soon going to be coming out with something that is going to allow me to do that. And so I would gratefully, you know, I'm grateful for the time with Hobbywing, but could you please let me out of my contract with Hobbywing? And he got back to me about a day later and sent me some forms, and I signed them, and then boom, I was out. And that night, I think I called Steve and I ordered some R1s. So, Ricky too, can I say that you, at this point, officially run R1 speed controls? So, like I've told everybody, you know, the top three, you got Ford, you got Chevy, you got Dodge. Those are the three greats. The big three is what our parents used to call it, the big three. And those big three in drag racing thus far, at least on our coast. I know a lot of guys on the East Coast swear by their castle stuff and they can freaking do whatever they want. But the big three to us, Randy, can you tell me what the big three are?
Hobbywing.
Ding ding.
R1.
Ding ding.
And Tekin.
And Tekin. Ding ding. And when I started this 3 years ago, I was right with Hobbywing, and you were with Hobbywing. And Ricky got into it, and I started, you know, teaching him some ninja moves with the chassis and stuff like that. And just I think right at the right time, you had walked into Jake's one day and he had some Tekin stuff, and he said, "I'll give it a try." Right?
I ordered it.
Oh, you did order it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know at some point you got many more Tekin products through Jake. But anyway, Rick, when he got into it at the end of last year, he decided to hang his hat on Tekin stuff. And tell us about the Tekin stuff.
I have 3 that I'm waiting for from Tekin.
Okay.
Warranties. I will say this, I don't know how much I can say, so I'm going to keep it limited. There's some new firmware that will be tested, and hopefully that will keep the RS Pros from flashing those lights at you.
Okay.
So,
But when you were with Tekin, tell us your experience. When the cars were fast, it had a lot of tuning capabilities.
excellent tuning capabilities, and I felt my cars were faster than what they are with the R1. But
At this point, I was still with Hobbywing, and you were at that point. I think you had a Hobbywing
I had
and
a Hobbywing and
one car and R1 in the other, right? Yeah. Okay.
with a digital 3 on the shelf because I didn't want to.
Yeah, that's right. You let it sit there forever. Yeah.
So I was still using the digital 2 because it was working.
Yeah.
And for whatever reasons, the Tekin would just quit working. I'd send them back, and Jim and Ty would go through them, and they'd pull the data logs, and everything looked fine. They couldn't figure out what was causing it. So, like I said, I don't want to say too much, or I can't.
It's good stuff. I
don't know what I can say or can't say, but there's some new stuff coming out. So.
Yeah, which we all saw coming through Ty. He's an innovative guy. Tekin's always tried to. I mean, even back in the day when it was, Tekin was top, and then Novak, and then Novak was top, and then Tekin was top, and they always kind of did that. And Tekin's kind of always had that about them. And with the NPRC stuff, I never ran any Tekin stuff, but I know there were some guys, including probably Ricky, was at the forefront of it all. That was really, really. I mean, nobody had seen Tekins do what Ricky's cars did. And his cars were right there with the Hobbywing. So right off the bat, I knew that these were two big ones. You know, it was the Hobbywing and this. But I decided to branch out and decided to try this R1 stuff. And I got to tell you, I have the same speed control that when I ventured out on this, that I started out with is still in the car. I bought two from Steve, paid full price for them. I wanted to try it. I was venturing out on my own. And this is my backup one right here that's soldered and ready to go to a car. And I just have never needed it. It's just, it's such a good speed control that I have never had any problems with it. So out of the box, what you're going to get is you're going to get the R1 box. Obviously, it comes in foam, and it's not even a sealed box. It just comes just like that. That's how they do it there. And this is the R1 Digital 3. There's, some, from at a quick glance, if you didn't see R1 written on it, you might think it's a Hobbywing if you always ran Hobbywings. I thought it was kind of similar to a Hobbywing until I opened it up and started using it and tuning it. This cat pack does not come with it. This is the cat pack. Now, what I don't know about other companies, but this cat pack, when I was working with Steve, he said, what makes that unique is the rating, the speed at which they designed this cat pack in-house instead of just using one that they had on the market. Basically, they couldn't find a smaller cat pack like the XR10 Pro comes with, and I think the Tekin comes with it too, right?
Tekin's got a single.
A single one, okay. They couldn't find one that had a capacitor that was fast enough to catch the ripple and then recharge, and then catch the speed that it did that. So they designed this. And it works very well, and if you only have enough money to get into one of these, and you don't have the money for this now, you can run this. It's fine. A lot of guys will swear by, oh, you can leave both of them on there. You can, again, you're an American, you can do whatever you want. For the guys that have done it and haven't had any problems, I feel that you've been very lucky. What will happen is you'll get this one charged and this one charged simultaneously, and as they discharge, they will fight each other because there's different outputs and different times at which they will recharge up. And if it catches any kind of glitch or they get some heat or something, this smaller one will pop. I've seen a local racer, Tony Senior, who had 2 or 3 of them pop right in his face. He was right in front of my eye. It scared the crap out of me. I mean, they really went off. But anyway, I run these to have even more than this, and that was the one thing Steve told me. He's all, hey man, you really gotta call your guy, your sponsor with Flashpack, and ask him. I don't remember, I have it all written down. Ask this and ask that and ask that. Make sure it's of the same speed, because if not, I recommend keeping this. So I reached out to him, and it was right there. So I ended up using it, and I haven't had a problem with it. As you can see, again, it's soldered. I've put thicker wire to the batteries for the input, and I have my flash pack. Literally, you can't get any closer to the ESC on the input battery wires than right at the board. These are, just wired right there at the board together. So, and that's optimal performance. So it's a lightweight, it's the same footprint as, say, an XR10 Pro. It has, I want to say the same, actually I think there's a little thicker wire than the XR10 Pro comes with.
12.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just some different wires look different. They have one
that's Elite that comes with 13.
Okay. But I replaced these with 10. Eventually, I think probably I'll go with 10 with the motor too. For right now, these are actually going to get cut off. I've moved away from the bird cages now to solids. But this is the R1, and this is what we're raving over. This is what people want to figure out how it works and stuff like that. So why don't you take that? Another thing that you're going to need, so if you have an XR10 Pro and you want to move over to one of these, just like the Hobbywing Wi-Fi link, you're going to want to pick up an R1 Wi-Fi link. I don't know if R1 has a board. Some people like the little
I don't know if they have a
field tuners,
I've never seen one.
I've never seen one either. But you're going to want to pick one of these up. These have been very hard to get. I think they got like 200 of them in stock like a month and a half ago, and within, I don't know, like 4 days they were gone.
Yeah, within a couple days.
Yeah, within a couple days they were gone. So they should be back in soon. It's worth the wait, it really is. But same kind of thing. It's how we tune. It's also the same in the way that this is a free app from R1 Works that I was able to download on my phone, and it was free. And it was, the Hobbywing stuff works very well. But I've never seen anything, granted I've never used Tekin or any other stuff out there, but it immediately hooked up without me even doing anything. The phone did all the work for somehow. It was not like that with my Hobbywing. whenever I want to tune my car, I simply plug this thing in. I turn my car on. It doesn't even have to be under radio remote command. And it just sits there, and the Wi-Fi link gives me a little light, which we're going to show you here in a minute. And instantaneously, the app doesn't have to sit there and load data forever. I mean, as
We're
soon
trying to make you update it.
update software, which I remember in one of my other our episodes that we had. We were, a couple of us around the county were having a problem with every time we hooked our Wi-Fi link up to our Hobbywing, it would make us do a software update, and 50% of the time was 50-50. 50% of the time when we said, okay, it won't let me do anything, and okay to letting it update the software, when it would update the software, it would wipe the speed control out. So, and you had to sit there and retune it all. Well, if you weren't a guy that was taking notes or something, that could be very detrimental to your racing program. So
Apparently the Gropner and Yokomo Wi-Fi adapters work also for the R1.
Yeah.
the what?
The Gropner and Yokomo Wi-Fi adapters.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know that. Gropner, I'm going to write that down actually. Gropner and
Yokomo.
Other than R1 has just got this down, dude. I mean, this thing, you turn it on, boom, you just click, 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 and I'm on. It's that quick. Again, when you're at a race and you're going to use a Wi-Fi adapter, unless you've gone in there and taken the time, if you have the capability to, I don't know, I've never tried, and set a password into this, do not tune right there with everybody else around you. For two reasons. Number one, obviously, as a race car driver, you don't want anybody to steal your tune, right? Or look at what your car's doing while you're sitting there looking at it. But also, me and you,
My phone would always grab your Wi-Fi before your phone would.
I don't remember what it was. He came in from a race and his car was still on right at the same time. I was next to him in my pit not paying attention, and my phone would not link to the Wi-Fi. And then you looked at something on your phone, you're like, hey, are you trying to tune your car or something? I'm like, yeah.
No,
He's
I went to tune my car, and it wouldn't connect. I looked at it, I was like, it's connected, but then it said something else. I was like, that's not my car.
Yeah, so that happens, guys. He had come in from his race, and his Wi-Fi link hooked up to my phone automatically somehow. So you don't want people to know what your tune is in a race, and you also don't want something like that to happen where you could lose a tune right before a round or something like that. So always walk 50 or 100 feet away, set the car on the ground, do your tuning where no one's around, and then go back and to your pit and carry on. So that's just a recommendation. I've had that happen. So these are the cap packs. Again, R1's just got this technology down. It's really easy to hook up. It does all the work for you. Now, another thing I noticed is I was a little scared at first because I wasn't familiar with R1's operating procedure. And I know Hobbywing so freaking well, I could practically write the code for it, okay? And the R1 is formatted differently, and it has different stuff, and I was busting out of my shell. But that's one of the reasons why I sold the Ghost. I had all these parts to build a new car. I raced the Ghost. It's time to build a new car and replace it, and I just couldn't do it because the Ghost does what it does. And so it took me selling that car to Ricky to force myself into building a different car, which of that the Gunslinger was born. So this new operating program is it's easy to work with. It's user friendly, and from what I've seen, I don't know compared to Tekin, but as far as Hobbywing and R1 go, Hobbywing doesn't, not even in the same house, let alone the same room of tuning parameters. You can get so in depth with the R1, which we're going to get into here in a second. If you want to hook this up, this has got all black wires, and on one little wire there's a little tiny white piece on it, a little piece of shrink wrap or something.
Signal.
And that's your signal wire. And on the side of the speed control, what does it say on the side of the speed control?
S, negative, positive, negative.
Yeah.
PGM program.
So, you want to hand me a light behind you? And let's just move all of you up so you can get in closer.
Do you want two or just one?
Is that in your face? Are you good?
She's looking at her phone.
Okay. As long as it's not in her face.
It is now.
What is it from? Oh, I was trying to see who was doing that to her, but... Okay, so, Randy, why don't you walk us through this? We got a Phantom pack here. I'm going to ditch everything.
Red to red, black to black.
Yes, polarity is very important. So another cool thing that I liked is right about the time, I never had a problem with them, but right about the time that I switched over to R1 and I was out of Hobbywing, I noticed other people started having problem with their in speed control on and off switches. They bring it in after running it and it wouldn't shut off. Or they went to plug it in, it wouldn't turn on, and the speed control was fine, but the switch took a dump on it. So this has an external switch on it, which in a pinch, if I had to, I could cut this and twist a new switch onto it just to get on it, or I could even twist them together and bypass the switch. I don't recommend doing that, but in a pinch, if you had to get the speed control to turn on and that switch failed, at least it's external. Now, I know the new G2 has the capability of doing that, but I don't believe that Hobbywing sells the G2 with the external on and off switch. You have to buy that separately. So this one comes all one kit and caboodle. And as you'll see how easy this is, he's going to simply plug it into the speed control.
And play with it.
I was trying to get the white piece to come down.
Yeah, I
so
couldn't
it's
do that
falling
either.
inside there.
After like 2 minutes, I was like, okay, it's not that important. I know which one it is.
They are also shaped. The plug has 2 chamfers on the side. If you look down in the case, it also has the same chamfering, so you can't plug it in backwards. Plug it in. Turn it on.
Okay, so now if you're used to running a Hobbywing, I don't think you have ever seen this with a Tekin, but the Hobbywing, as soon as you turn it on, the fan comes on. This does
I can
not.
see the light.
And we'll get into why in a minute. The fan doesn't run all the time on this. Only when there's any kind of load or heat, you have a choice to in the programming. But even this speed control still has a factory tune in it. I've never changed anything. And as you can see, you know it's on because the red light is flashing on the speed control. And you have your yellow light on, which means that the Wi-Fi is ready to accept a signal from any kind of tuner, whether you're going to do it through a laptop or whatever the need be. So I just use my phone. You can see. Can you see my phone in that? Mm-hmm. Okay. I have the R1. Okay, there's R1. I'm going to press on it. It's already linked. Boom. There's all my parameters. So, you know what we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to get on the other side and show the camera some of this stuff. First, we're going to do a really quick run through of what everything does in every parameter, and then I'm going to give you guys a bass tune for this thing. Kind of like what we did the Hobbywing stuff, right? I think that's what we did.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets the guys that, if you're newbie to RC especially, and you want to learn how to tune, it's not that hard to teach yourself or have somebody teach you, but at first I can understand how your head would be spinning a little bit. There's a lot of things that you can tune or change or tune incorrectly or change incorrectly that you need to know.
There you go.
Let's see here. Okay, so stock on the R1. Can you see me there?
Yeah.
Okay. You have battery type. It comes set to LiPo. That's what you want to use. You don't have to change that. The cutoff voltage is huge. It's set to auto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to
Tony said he was going to waffle.
there we go. Disable. Okay. I'm going to press OK. So why, Randy, do I want to disable the LiPo cutoff?
Because you might get half track and then it draws so much power it shuts off on you.
Okay. There's another component of the car that will help keep us from doing that when it's a mild problem. What is that, Ricky? What takes care of the little ripple? The flash pack. That's right, baby. But if the flash pack causes you're ripping, it's climbing, it's screaming down the track, and about 100, 115 feet, it goes, wow, that's because it's too much demand from the battery. It's not getting what it needs, and the speed control thinks that the voltage in the LiPo is too low, and it's trying to save itself. It's a fail-safe. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the cutoff voltage to disable. We're going to disable that. Why? Because we're never going to run our cars past 2 or 3 hits because they'll start getting
So,
hot.
Well, hot.
They're going to get hot. Yeah. So we don't have to worry about the battery voltage going down. So motor direction comes in normal. You want to leave it on normal unless you're running a mid-motor car that the motor plate stays the same on the tranny when it moves around, which means your car would be going backwards. So, am I missing
I
something?
didn't even do it.
Did you rip one?
No,
One of you all did.
Oh,
I was
didn't.
pretending.
Is that still? Can you still see it?
Yep.
Okay. So, motor pull number comes on 2. We're going to leave it on 2. Now, a lot of people ask me this, dude. What is the gear ratio? What is the tire diameter? If I don't measure or I guess on that, is that going to mess my car up? Absolutely not. So, what's going to happen? Yeah, I know. It just never came
Wonder
up.
why. No.
So I actually, this is something I talked to Steve. I said, Steve, for gear ratio, what does it want to see? Does it want to see internal, external, final drive? What does it want to see? He goes, actually, it doesn't really want to see anything. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, we have software coming out to make that a parameter to help the speed control do something. But for right now, we knew we were going to do that, so we added it into the program, and it's nothing more than a note right now. So if you wanted to gear a car and record that and have proof of it and save that, like almost like the odometer in an ECU in a real car, so if you put your gear ratio in there, what the car is actually the final drive. So you do the math between your internal ratio, your external ratio, and your final number. I think I'm like a 1101 or something like that. That's what I would put in there, so that if I ever forgot, I would have it in there. Tire diameter, same thing. So I think my tires are like right around 112, 113 millimeters. I put it in there just so I can always remember what it is if somebody asks me. BEC voltage. Now, some guys run fancy 7.4 volt servos, and if you want to go that route, that's fine. But you got to remember, it's a drag car. I don't need a fan on the motor. I'm only running it one time in a race. I don't need anything extra in that car on, and that also comes down to, why would I feed 7.4 volts into a servo when I could use a 6-volt servo with the technology that's just as good almost, and it'll steer a little light front end of a car, and I'm not feeding it all that extra
it
energy.
doesn't need to have extra.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't need to do that. So cutoff temp comes set at 135 or 275 degrees Fahrenheit, and cutoff max temp is the same, and I just leave that alone. Motor wiring ABC, leave that alone. Fan control, this is what Randy was talking about. It comes in auto. That's why when he turned it on, it's on right now, and there's no fan going,
It
because
pulses and turns off.
yeah, it doesn't need to do anything right now.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
pulses
hot.
and turns off immediately.
And now, if I had it hooked up to a radio and a motor, and I gunned it, the second I gunned it and held it there for like 1/10 of a second, it would come on. Or it would come on right when I hit the throttle or whatever it is. But I suggest leaving it to auto. So the throttle... so power curve. Power curve comes set on 5. And what you can do is, this is the slope that it comes into. That your throttle is rolling in. So if you're just to punch the throttle, this is the aggressiveness that it's going to come. And as you can see, you can change it. So it'll go up to 50% and then 25% become more aggressive, and then plane off a little bit so you don't blow the tires off. I think I have mine set at, I have mine set at like 8. I messed it up because I added one. So let's open that back up
You
again.
can add extra ones.
So as you can see, as I'm going up, you can also change X and Y. You can do this. This is more used, as you notice, that first red dot isn't in the corner anymore. And what that's done is that softened the speed control. So if you're running the speed control like in dirt or slippery, like sedan class or whatever, you can use that feature there to, so as you can see, the red dot's coming back down because I'm decreasing it. I want what I'm doing to start right from the get-go. And then, where did this go? Why didn't this turn on? Which one is this? Okay, so as you can see, it's moving the dot around. And this is the same one. See how it's moving the dot? And then I'm going to go to that dot. I can change the curve or the slope. I'll explain what a slope is here in a minute because it's actually a parameter that's used in a bunch of different settings. So if you want the car to come on and then all of a sudden once it's gotten 20 feet out and it hasn't unloaded and it's doing a good rip, you want it to come in harder, you can raise the increments that you want it to come in harder. That's basically what this parameter does. So acceleration comes set, I just touched it, on 5. I think I'm at what am I at here? I'm on 8 for acceleration. Start power, I'm on 5%. So you see start power and I can bring it up. And it changes, see I'm at 29%. I'm leaving those pretty low. A lot of these are like different ways to soften the car. Whether you want to soften it from a hit, whether you want to soften it or harden it for a turn. And that's what some of these ones right here are for. The neutral width just stays on normal. Now the smooth start rate, you can play with this a little bit. I actually am running both of mine on 0s, and why? Because it's a drag application. I'm not running on a slick dirt track or something like that where I don't want it to roll in as fast. So right from the first the hit where you let off in a turn and then you get back into it, this is going to soften it just a little bit. So the throttle, this is pretty much just being able to set the different parameters to your throttle. Do you want it to roll in fast? Do you want it to roll in and come in? Now you still have all your power. We haven't gotten there yet, but these are it's like traction control basically. So
But you're not burning out.
exactly. So reverse. One of the problems, the only problem I found with the R1 is that the max reverse delay is 2.5 seconds. So if I take this off of one way and I put it on two-way, which two-way means I have forward and reverse, I want my reverse delay maxed out because I don't want to hit the brake at the end of a hit and after a certain amount of time have it go into reverse. And that's exactly what was happening to me. So I would definitely, if you are going to use reverse, turn the reverse way down. You don't need it more than about 25 or 30. You don't need to be balls to the wall in reverse. But the reverse delay, no matter what I did to the reverse, I'd hit the brake, the car would slow down nicely, and at 2.5 seconds, boom, it would start to go into reverse. And if I didn't tap it and get out of it really quick, it would spin the car around. So what I did is I turned my reverse function all the way down, and I run my car without reverse. I don't really need it. I mean, I haven't needed it yet. So you guys can play with that. If you want reverse on your car, you can play with that. But like I said, it was one glitch that I found in their software where no matter what I did, this went into reverse. I think one of you guys had that problem, right?
Yeah.
You had that problem?
Everybody did.
Okay. Okay, so brake. Let's see here. Brake. So brake response, I'm up at about 10%. I'm running no drag brake. A drag brake is for certain types of racing where you want a brake to be on when you're in neutral. So when you let off the throttle and you haven't hit the brake, the car obviously automatically has brake dialed into it. And you don't want the drag brake for drag racing. It's just it's not applicable. You don't need it. So your minimum brake amount. So your minimum brake amount is going to be when you hit the brake. So this doesn't just have when you go all the way backward. It has a brake, and it's just one brake. It just brakes the motor. It has different percentages that you can brake. So when the brake first start coming on, the minimum I have it at is 30%. And the max I have it at, so when I go all the way and my finger does hit and bottom out, my max brake is going to be right around 75. I don't want my brake to be too aggressive. So brake location, the brake location, you can actually change it to set a different periodic point past neutral and reverse to get the car to brake, not have such a long throw to brake. So let's take a break here real quick. And when you switch from Hobbywing to R1, Randy, what were some of your big concerns as far as like adding power and stuff? Because that's what we have. This is the last thing we haven't gotten to, and that's kind of where this is building up to. What these guys want to get to. You know what I'm saying? And was there any huge differences? Was there?
The only thing that really concerned me was the verbiage in the app versus the Hobbywing versus the R1. It was not worded exactly the same, so I was kind of like.
So there was things that were there that the same that you knew, but you didn't know that you knew it because it was called something different.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you from the Tekin?
Tekin is very easy to tune, self-explanatory.
Okay.
So getting into the power curves and the charts and everything else.
Well, yeah, and being able to adjust each thing, it's like, whoa, that's way different.
In
than
all
Hobbywing.
honesty, you all have seen my cars run. Chase made it to number 7 on the list, and all I did was go in and just change some things, and that was it.
Yeah.
I haven't touched tune since.
Okay. So it was easy for you to transfer over. It was me too. Remember, I told you guys it was building it up in my head. I wanted to transfer over, but after I got a Hobbywing, it was one of those things where I was scared because I knew Hobbywing. And once I jumped into it, I built it up to be such a big monster, and it really wasn't that big a monster. So, this is a huge one, and most people will. So, and this is what this is. This is the rate in kilowatts at what your ESC is telling your motor to do. And a lot of people go, man, I got a tune-in that you gave me, and it just still seems really, really soft. And I always ask them, what K are you on? Well, the quick definition, kilohertz is a unit of alternating current or electromagnetic wave, which is what we're using, frequency, equal to 1,000. So basically, 1K, or let's say 3K is 3,000 kilohertz per second. So it's the wave at what it's giving electricity. So the break frequency comes down to 1K. I would totally recommend that you don't want it that aggressive. So the smaller the number, the more aggressive it's whatever the parameter is going to be. I think I run mine up around 4. And that's so it just doesn't like, and it's break. My motor frequency, I want my car to hit balls to the wall. I mean, you guys leave the same way, right? You guys are just gone, right? Some guys like to ease into it. Some guys like to rely on slipper clutches. We want to be gone with the wind. I mean, we want to just take off from a standstill and just be out of there. So what we run our cars is we turn those, and this is why if you put one of our tunes in, or I've given you a tune, why it might still seem fast, it comes at 5K. Well, 5K is like only hitting at 50% of the power right off the bat. So we move the motor frequency down to 1K. That will make your car just hit really, really, really hard. The drag brake, it doesn't matter where that's set. It comes at 1K, but we've already got the drag brake turned off. So let's talk about this. This is the last thing. Is there anything you want to add right now? No. Okay. So this is where your power is going to be made, guys. This is what you've all been waiting for. The boost on this. First of all, it comes turned off and everything's at 0.2. 0.2 is 0.2 of a second. Okay. So your boost, you want to go in, you want to press it. Hold on, let me show you that again. You want to press the off, and you want to switch it to boost, and boom, your chart pulls up. Okay. So I'm going to press turbo, and a good starting point is right around 28, 29. Then I'm going to press boost. Oh. Why is it not doing it? Okay. So now my boost, you see the chart coming up. Okay. I would start your boost at right around 20. Now you guys can go up a little bit from here, but once you guys get your car on 1K kilohertz of magnetic field wave going to the motor, so it's hitting really hard, this is a good starting point. At this point, you're going to know that before you go to the big tune, your chassis is going to hold the tune or not. Okay, so my starting point for the R1 is about 20 boost, about 28 turbo. You can go up on the boost about 5 degrees and be safe. You can go up on the turbo about the same. So now, granted, this is with a properly geared car. and a car that doesn't have a motor in it built by some guy that built the motor as a tuned motor, and he's got the timing on the end belt jacked up to 49 degrees. 30 is no man's land. Hear my words. 30 degrees on the end belt timing is no man's land. You don't want to go past that with these tunes. So, or in a drag car period. So once I do that, I'm going to press OK. Now, after you get a tune in it and you go back the second time or third time or 10th time and you want to change something, when you're done, press the little floppy disk up here. It just saved it to the speed control, okay? So now let's come to the last couple things here in the tuning. Turbo delay. So when my car leaves, it's going to leave on can timing and boost timing. And that boost timing and the can timing is all it's going to leave on. And at a certain point in the track, I want my turbo, some extra power. After the car's gone 40 or 50 feet and it's already hooked up and it's not unloaded the suspension, it's on a good hit, then the turbo comes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that about 0.2 seconds, okay? And 0.2 seconds is going to be 0.2 of a second into the race, which is actually pretty quick. So the turbo slope plus is... once my turbo comes in 0.2 of a second, the amount of turbo that I have dialed into the tune, that 28 degrees, how fast is it going to go in? So if I have it at 0.9 seconds, what is that, Randy? That's almost a second into the race. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a long time, okay?
That's half track.
So that's where you can take power out, put power in, make your turbo come in later, soften it a little bit, turn your turbo down a little bit so you don't blow the wheels off. You know, whatever surface you're running on is where you're going to use that. I would suggest that you set that at about 0.3 seconds. So 0.3 of a second to 0.4 of a second into the race, okay? And I always would recommend that the slope that your turbo is coming in at, you also match that with the decrease rate. I've always had, I don't know if that's wrong or right, it's what I've always done. I've never had a problem with it. And what that is once you're done and you're ready to go brake, that's how fast the speed control, the same slope that the speed control is going to suck that turbo timing back out to, you know, start returning everything down to zeros or starting points. So is there any questions about what I've done so far?
Nope.
David just said the Tune Master, LOL.
So this is a really easy way to do it. So check this out. Here's
now we get
here's my
pictures?
start line, and here's my finish line. Okay, this is where the car started. At 0.2 of a second, turbo is going to come in. Okay. Now, with a really short slope, the turbo is going to come in like this. If I want my turbo to not come in so hard and maybe blow the wheels off, what the turbo is going to do is you can lower, you can lower the slope, and what the lower the slope's going to do is it's going to change this point, okay? So I actually am set up more in my car like this. I want my turbo to pull from right when I want it to come on to the end of the run. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Anybody's got any questions about that? This is set at 0.2 seconds for the turbo to come in. And then this, well, it wouldn't take it off the finish line. It would take it off of wherever you had it. So this is another 0.25 seconds. So that's a quarter of a second. And boom, my slope is fully in. And then I'm running at full tilt from, say, the halfway mark of the race all the way down to the finish line. And I think that, you know, we had talked about some other brand of speed control that was going to add nitrous or whatever. That would just be another pre-designated point with even more power coming in. But with an electric motor, it's technically not nitrous. It would just be more timing. You're bleeding on your own.
Oh,
Hold on, let me get you back in.
Whoa.
What'd you scratch yourself on?
that was my dog.
Oh, you were itching it.
That's funny. Your daughter's lip was bleeding just a few minutes ago.
There you go.
It's already starting to snap.
So,
Did she jump on you?
a lot of people ask me, dude,
Coulda
you say to go 25 or 30 on the boot on the can timing, and then you got me at 20 degrees on the boost timing, so I'm leaving it 50 degrees or 55 degrees, and then we're adding another turbo on it. another 30 degrees of turbo on, which is upwards of 80 or 90. And what about the no man's land of 64 total degrees? And I said, where'd you get that? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, who told you that 60 is the max you can have in? He goes, I don't know. I said, well, there you go. It's not true. What you don't want to get is you don't want to get upwards of over 100. You got to remember, this thing's going to want to reverse polarity at 180 degrees. So, if you have your can by a motor builder at 47 degrees and you're at 30 boost and you're at 45 turbo, yeah, you're running the risk of melting that speed control down. You're at 140 total degrees of timing. That's not good. But as far as somebody saying, between the can, the boost, and the turbo to have 60 max, that's no man's land. I'm calling BS on that. That's because we've been running more, not even with the Hobbywings, and they would handle it. So
That's technically what Tekin recommends.
what's that?
No more than 60 global time
Now, is that in just the boost and the turbo, or is that with
Total.
the can too?
total.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
He said
that's
after,
why.
He said after that, then the motor technically wants to start rotating backwards. The only thing keeping it rotating forward is it already rolling that way.
Well, I could see that with a 4-pole, but with a 2-pole, you have north and south. You know what I'm saying? On your magnetic pull. So it's 60 degrees. Here's 360. Here's 0 and 180. And here's 90. So we're right here at, somewhere in here. I could see this being like red line area right through here. You know what I'm saying? But 60, that's, you can still got a long way to go there, And if that's that's what their recommendation is, well, maybe that's why there's been so many flashing red lights. I don't know.
And I can tell you this much, I crammed a lot more timing into my Tekins than 60.
Yeah.
A lot more. And talking with them and running the Tekins and dropping the timing down, in all honesty, I didn't really notice a difference. The car was just as fast. So
You can disconnect that and turn it off. I'm gonna have Randy show you
What
guys.
people want to know about? What do you set for the RPM?
start RPM and
Start RPM.
Just
So
RPM.
the start RPM and the finish RPM is another fine adjustment of basically slope. So how do I explain this? The slope coming in is at a pre-designated area, 0.25 seconds. So at 0.2 of a second, my turbo starts, and at another quarter of a second, almost to a half second total, I will have full slope in my turbo. Once my turbo hits full slope, it wants to know how long do I want to run that for. Do I just want to run that continuously? Well, if you're at the end of a race and your race, you hit 57,000 max RPM before you shut the car down, and you have it, if you have that parameter at 50, well, or let's say you had it at max and you ran 57, so you know what the car will run full out, okay? Then you come back and you lower it to 50 or to 45 or to 40. It's going to hit the slope and hold the turbo until you hit 50,000 RPMs, and then it's I don't know if it's going to hold it there or if it's going to shut the turbo off. But what I've always done is you don't want to set it at 0 or 1,000. You don't want the turbo to come on all of a sudden like that. You want to give yourself a little bit of distance. So I usually say about 6,000 or 7,000 RPM as a start, and I always max the big one out. I have some motors that run 52,000 RPM. I have some motors that run upwards of 70,000 RPM. So if I set it at 50, it's never going to reach its full potential. It's going to want to start shutting down because that's what I've set it to do. So always take your bigger number there in your RPM setting and max that out. You don't ever want it to stop putting in. So
Hunter said he might have to bring me some beer tomorrow. Just
Hi, Hunter.
showing him what kind.
No ginger ale
Yeah,
for
Hunter
Ricky.
can now legally buy beer.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, he's
Too
beer
bad Hunter
boy.
wasn't 21 and when we were in Vegas. I would have loved to have gotten that guy shit faced.
you'd have been carrying around one.
Well, a couple hard fighters, and he's ready
But
to
I
fight.
can't talk. They call me Toucan Dan for a reason, okay?
Tony and I know the pool to go hang out with if you want to be freaking
Hammering off one beer.
not even knowing what planet you're on.
So
Not Tony.
did you redo the on and off switch after you unplug it?
We need to redo it.
Recycle it.
Recycle it and take
No.
it. Okay. So here's another thing, and I recommend this with every speed control. This does not have a battery hooked to it. He turned it off, unhooked the battery, and watch the speed control. See how it came on for a split second? That is the juice that's left in here. So if anybody's ever taken a 12-volt battery and disconnected it in their car to put an alternator in, you know that you always, before you start working on it, not only do you want the battery disconnected, but you also want to turn the headlights on or do something to get the last little bit of juice that's in the computer's capacitors, which is what this is. So this is storing electricity, which is, when it's on, that's what it's meant to do. But once you turn it off, get in the habit. You always want to turn it back on and delete all that power out of there and then turn it back off. So it's a good habit to get into. It's good safety practice for cat packs. These can be dangerous if you don't know how to treat them. So it's very rare that they blow, but when they blow, I mean, you just hope that it doesn't hit you in the face or something because it'll hurt.
And they wrap them too.
I had
so that
one
makes
blow.
it even more
Yeah,
explosive.
yeah,
The
absolutely.
first, if you look at them, they're actually
It's like
scorned.
holding a Plico Pete.
Well, they're actually scorned to release, to be.
Oh, yeah, the little etches in them, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's when
totally.
they pop open. They
Yeah.
don't blow out sideways and take out everything and whoever the hell is that.
Yeah,
Well, they
That-
kind of
that's
defeat
that's
the
a good
purpose of
thing
wrapping
to
them.
that's a good thing to add.
The first cash race I ever went to at the airport. I had that 66 C10 body on. I just turned the car on, set the body on. Boom! What the hell was that? I pulled the cover off. There was a freaking circle indent in the body from the cap.
Oh, really? It hit that hard?
Yeah.
So what does this all come down to? Tuning parameters is just it's there's more there. If you're using a Hobbywing, you're like, well, what's so good? Because the Hobbywing does have some good parameters, but and it definitely does have the basics like your K setting and your RPM set and your turbo and your boost. It has the basics in it. A lot of speed controls do. But the one selling point for this speed control is rated at 220 amps, and I can't seem to blow it up. So we're running cars where me and Ricky for a while we were snapping rotors in half because we were just putting so much power in them, and we found the weak link there. We started popping axles, and there was just it got really wild there for a while. To be able to put that kind of power through it and still have the thing run cool. It also has something that I haven't mentioned. It's called like the cool technology. It stays a lot cool. They do still heat up when you run them hard, but they don't heat up like my Hobbywings used to get, just freaking smoking hot. And these things just don't get hot. I know that Ricky probably got a Tekin or two upwards of 150 degrees.
My Tekins, I think max I've ever seen was 132.
Okay.
On a data log. But if you guys pay attention to Tire Jin's posts, we've had some conversations about some of them reaching 300 and something degrees.
What?
To where the solder inside the ESC is now melted and sloshed around.
Wow.
People are hot lapping them. They're made for technically a 17.5 blinky mode, and because they're double FET boards and 560 amps,
It transfers over to
it
drag.
transfers over to drag racing
Yeah.
for one hit or two hits at the max.
Yeah.
But
And here's another thing too that a lot of people I think hurt their cars with and don't realize or don't want to admit it. When you're out racing, it's really easy not to overheat it because what do we run, Randy? We don't run one hit, right? And that's it. We pick our cars up, we go back, and we get our cars ready for the next race, and by then it's cool. But when you're out practicing with your friends and you're out
Or by yourself.
or by yourself, and I say 2 hits. Every 2 hits, check the temp on the speed control and the motor. Not through your tuner, just even with your finger. If you can't hold your finger on and it's hot, you need to stop running it. Because if you do another hit or another 2 hits, you're going to see some smoke come out of the back of that body, and that car's
or motor.
yeah, and it's going to roll to a stop. So if you're getting extreme amounts of heat out of it after 1 hit, then you're probably timed too high, or you're geared wrong, or mesh is wrong, or there's something mechanically wrong. You got something dragging, like a bad bearing or something. So watch temps, and I don't say watch temps because you have to. I basically say that too because I want everybody. They spend their hard-earned money on this stuff, and we want our equipment to last as long as possible. And to do that, you got to treat it right, and treating it right is checking the temps. Don't go out there and forget all of it. It's really easy to do. I've done it. Everybody's done it. You do 6, 7, 8 hits, and next thing you know, the battery's at 760. It's still hitting, and the thing is just smoking hot. And next thing you know, you got a speed control that's needs to be shipped back somewhere. So.
Do you rely more on turbo or boost?
They're
More turbo or more boost?
Boost and turbo is like two lovers walking down the beach holding hands. They're, one can't do anything without the other can't do anything without that. So it's a relationship there. Could you use turbo without boost? Yeah. But then I'm not going to achieve the timing that I want out of just the end belt of the motor to get what I want to leave on. So what am I missing here? Evidently, I don't have my phone on.
Debating if I want to
What?
gas chamber you.
Oh,
He's ready to
am I
tick,
lucky for
tick.
sitting over here still?
I'll just stay over here by the door.
Janelle says my beer's not showing right. Is that better?
No, it has to be higher. There you go. Put it on a pedestal.
R1 power. I'm excited to get these Tekins back. See what old Ty's got in the cooker.
So are they coming back to you as upgraded replacements?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna give those a go then.
Yeah. Give them a shot. See what happens.
Yeah, I now that I've been using the R1 for months, I totally feel in my heart it was the right thing to do. As racers, we're always looking for the next best product, and for me, R1 Works was the next best product. So.
She's back?
No, she's just now leaving.
What?
She was talking to my parents.
Oh. But anyway, if you're looking at switching over to R1, give Steve or the R1 company a shout out. They have a Facebook page, they have a website. I suggest going right to the website. Actually, if you're looking at getting one of these, your local hobby shop can get you one, or they have them in stock. I would recommend you getting them from your local hobby shop. I know Jake's Performance Hobbies sells these as cheap as anywhere else. Like I always say, if you get something on A-Main for $199.99, it's usually $189.99 at Jake's, and you ship. So if you have a hobby shop, if you don't have a hobby shop, or you have a hobby shop that either can or doesn't want to get one of these, and you want one, don't be so quick just to call up A-Main or something. Go down, give Jake a call or give somebody else's hobby shop. Let's support the little guy. But they're really, really, really good units. Let's see if it works now.
Sean, yes, a mid-motor car did win Race Wars.
It did.
Chris Jenkins. So what range can timing do? What range can timing do you recommend? Is it 2.5 turn, 35 degrees?
My personal
Too high, I'm assuming.
My personal opinion is to sell that motor. I think it's too low of a turn. I think 3.5 is, I think the rating for the R1. 4.5 is the rating for a Hobbywing. What's Tekin?
There's
Unlimited? Okay. So some of these motors that you guys are buying in 2.0 turn or 2.5, you got to remember these are drag motors. But these are drag motors that were designed, I'll say this once again, these are drag motors that were designed for a 2-pound solid axle prep car that weighs as much as if I cut one of these cars in half. And when you take a 2.5 or a 2-turn and you put them in a 5-pound car, that's like taking, I remember I worked on this little Lola at the track once, and the car weighed 1,100 pounds. And it had a 200 horsepower Lotus engine in it, okay? That would be like, and it moved. I mean, that fucking car had sequential shifting. It was a really fast race car. But if you took that and you put it in a 3,500 pound road race Mustang, it would barely move that thing. And it's the same thing as this. So what are you doing? You're putting more heat and strain and current load and resistance on your speed control that's not necessary. You're trying to move a car that with a motor that is too high a turn and doesn't, all the torque has gone out of the window. You got to remember, you don't need the torque to move one of those little cars as you do to move one of these things. I think that 10L up there, which is bigger and wider than a solid axle drag car, it is probably 1.75 pounds with nothing in it, or 1.5 pounds. Car weighs nothing, So if you guys want to, your buddy and your other buddy, and they all say get a 2.5, and you want to try a 2.5, by all means. You're really, really playing Russian roulette with an R1 or a Hobbywing, especially a Hobbywing. When I started blowing Hobbywings was when I was starting to test them with 3.5s, and it didn't like it, and there was no torque, and I always went back to the 4.5 and the 4.0. So the 3.5 is a good wind. But like I said, anything below there, 3.0, 2.5, 2.0, it's not meant for this. It's not what you want. So
the way you explain start and end RPM is not what Tekin said. Tekin said the end RPM, the end or PM.
It's supposed to be RPM.
RPM is when the timing is all the way in.
Well, that's Tekin. But that's also would eliminate a slope. So the slope is the rate it goes in, and the start. So if you have it starting at 5,000 RPM, and you've reached that 2.5 seconds at which your turbo's starting to come on, or I mean that you've told your turbo to come on, and it's already at 5,000 RPM. That turbo's going to come in and catch up really, really quick. And the way I was told about the RPM was that max number is as long as it will run. So I don't know, whether I'm wrong or if Tekin's got a different meaning to it. I know there's some things between the Hobbywing and the R1 that look very, very similar. What was the one thing that we found, guys? It was something that was from 1 to 10, and on a Hobbywing at 10 was like really powerful. And so we took our R1s and we set it to 10, and we couldn't figure it out. And then we started
Less is more.
and less, it was just the opposite. Less was more. So, if Tekin says one thing, I can't tell you if I'm wrong or if it's the same or if they have different meanings. I don't know. I just know that when I set mine to 40,000 RPM and set it down low, and I got a motor that pulls 60,000 RPM, it doesn't pull that turbo all the way down to the end of the track. It goes back down to can and boost timing. So.
On my RPM settings in the Tekin, I start, so it's a calculator. You put your end RPM in, and you hit calculate, and it gives you a whole list to select from of predetermined RPMs. I'm starting somewhere around 18,000.
Okay.
Anything less than that, you're just putting extra hit on the battery that you don't need to.
Okay.
Those motors are 18,000 RPMs in the snap of a finger.
In a snap of a finger.
Barely bump it.
And I'm at my end RPM. I usually run about 35,000.
Okay.
Because what they said, I used to crank it all the way.
So
up.
are they using that as a turbo slope?
Because there's a turbo ramp rate, there's turbo delay, there's all that.
Okay.
So on the Tekin, that's the way it works.
See,
R1,
even that sounds different from the Hobbywing,
There's so many different settings.
But the
in
drop-down
Tekin.
charge, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, was that with a laptop or on your phone?
Phone or laptop, it's all the same. I don't know. They might let me do that.
I don't know if there is a way or not with the R1, but I noticed that I can't go in and look at like a tuning
Like
board.
a dummy.
What's
like
that?
Just like a dummy too.
Yeah, I couldn't
Like
look
a
at like
Hobbywing.
a tuning board, just to play with stuff without having a speed control
Like a
hooked up
Hobbywing
to it.
does.
Yeah. It was just blank. It was a dead app. And as soon as you connect it to an ESC that's on, all of a sudden other icons light up because it knows it's connected.
RPM setting. So see, current end RPM is at 20,000. I do 40,000. Calculate RPMs, and it gives you this whole list to choose from. I usually pick somewhere 17. Done
For end or start?
for start.
Okay.
Then your turbo, you can just drag the bar, let's say 50. Turbo delay is going to be 0.7, and this is the
7/10.
ramp rate. How much? 1 through 10.
Slope. That's what a slope would be, yeah.
I usually run 4 or 5.
That's how aggressively it's allowing it to come in. Yeah.
And then if you go to throttle, it's on demo mode. It's not going to show me everything. There's a torque rating. There's all kinds. Throttle minimum. It's how much throttle you want it to give. You know, the lower the number, the weaker it is.
Well, the big ones that'll really get you going out of the box is enabling the boost and using the boost in the turbo, and setting that K setting down to 1. That's a huge one. I think you have that setting on Tekin too, right?
Yeah. It's opposite. 12,000 is softer, and the lower the number, the harder.
Yeah, it's the kilowatt. It's so when there's less of a frequency and they're bigger dips rather than this. You know what I'm saying? It's that's when it's hitting hard. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell you this much: if you take your Tekin and set it at 12,000 kilohertz,
Yeah.
you get maybe a pass or 2 more. If you set it at 6, halfway, that speed control is going to be hot in 1 hit.
Because it's just giving it all to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Ricky, what do you put your preset at 10 or on linear, or are you on 4?
Preset.
Is that
Throttle
for Ricky?
curve.
I'm guessing.
I'm linear.
Linear.
Linear is a good way to go for throttle curve.
I don't play with curves. I want all the power there.
So like I said, if you went in and you enabled the boost and you set your boost timing at 20 degrees and your turbo timing at 25 and you turned your speed control to 1K, not changing anything, and the LiPo cutoff. Those 4 things and your speed control will come alive. And once you get that into it, before you start adding more timing, then you can start playing with the finer tunings. When it comes in, how fast it comes in, when it stops. You know, these are all things that you guys got to play with. You know, this show wasn't created. We're trying to show you a little bit about how to get started and maybe a bass tune. But other than that, you know, nobody's ever going to go out and win every single race if they don't understand what the car's doing. So I know there are some guys, and I get it. You want to get in it. It's a cool hobby and stuff, and you want to get going really fast, and you kind of just want the answers, and that's why we're doing the show, you know, to help you guys with some of the answers. But there are some answers that you're going to have to figure out for your own. I don't know what motor you're running. I don't know what battery you're running. I don't know how much your car weighs, or your gearing, or you know what I'm saying. So this is just you know, the 20 and 25 and the 1K. That's to get you hitting hard and using all your boost parameters. With being safe. That was a safe tune. It's a fast tune, especially if you've been running an ESC and didn't know what they were and had all that stuff off. It's going to be night and day. But as far as being safe, that tune won't hurt anything. And that's what I want to do. You know, maybe you're geared a little bit lower and you could add a little bit more turbo, whereas to your buddy is geared 3 teeth higher, and if he adds that much turbo, he could fry his speed control or overheat it, or you know. So you're going to have to creep up in these parameters and really kind of play with your guys' cars.
The other big thing is gearing.
Gearing is huge.
Crank it up.
Yeah.
You have too much gearing, you're going to burn things up.
So Ricky, you're starting your RPM at 18,000 and ending at 35. Isn't 18 a little too far into the hit?
That motor's spinning 18,000 RPMs.
I've done it. I was in my programming, and I had my car up on block or whatever, just so in case anything happened. And I bumped the throttle, and it went to like 20,000 instantly. I was like, barely just touching it.
You set it at 900 or whatever the lowest setting is, and you're just putting way too much draw on your battery right off the hit.
Will Smith wants to buy all my stock cat packs. Okay.
I got plenty of them too, Will. We can pallet them up.
Yeah.
Right? I've got 2.
What else here? What's up, Hunter? What's up, Steve Larson? What's up again, Will Smith? This is a story about how my life got flipped and turned upside down.
Oh, God.
Robert Witter, Tony Cortez, Ray Myers, Sean Greenland.
Baby T.
Baby T. that's my bromance. Y'all see the video he posted?
Yeah, that was so
My
good.
best friend.
Is there a base FDR you guys recommend? FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt?
Oh, man.
I have a little buzz going on, so maybe help me out a little bit.
You got buzz going on? What'd you drink?
Too much ginger
Hi,
ale.
buzz, bro. Will Smith says, "Gee, someone slap him." Like you've never heard a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air joke in your whole life before, you know? Which is not a bad thing. I love that freaking show.
How much voltage drop do you guys see on your hits?
I'm pushing. I don't look at voltage drop. I look at amp draw, and I'm pushing right in between 370 to 390, depending on what pack it is, how hot the car is. I think the most I've ever pulled is like 388, which is a lot. I used to only pull like 290 with my Hobbywing. D Watts is watching. Greg Hammond. Randy Vieira, I love you, bro. Did you type that in?
How? We filmed from my phone. We filmed from my phone. So any comments are never from me.
Yes, they are.
No,
David
they're not.
Vieira, what's up, David? We gotta have Dave on the show one of these nights.
Oh boy.
Dave is Randy's. Is he your older brother?
No, it's a
Younger brother. I don't know.
Gets that all the time.
Is he? David Vieira is a guy that races with us in the 707, and he is Randy's younger brother, and he's a really cool cat, and he's always down to help. And
David is always the first one to jump in there.
BAM!
First one. Even like getting Chase on the list this past race. Car was coming off the track. David was running to the trailer with it to get it ready because Chase had the hot lap, and
Yeah.
it was like every time that guy's
He's the
right
pit
there,
crew.
so. Even in Vegas, I say it over and over in Vegas.
Hey, David said, "What the fuck, Dan?" Sorry, younger. Okay, younger. We're gonna get you this condom.
What now?
Talk about Tony and
Yeah. It's a trimance. Didn't you see
Oh,
that
yeah.
comment?
Wait, between who? You, Tony, and who?
Randy.
Tony's
Oh,
on
God.
Tony commented.
Oh, great. It's a threesome.
Nick Hill, do I gotta get you more French fries?
Is Paul Peterson even watching?
I haven't seen him.
Paul
I think
at all.
he's probably pulling bodies right now. He's working something really big coming out of Shark, guys. Hopefully next Friday.
Can you spill anything else new on new body release?
Nope, can't. That's it. Nothing. All I know is all the waiting and all the talk is soon about to pay off, and the people that love shark bodies are going to faint and fall over. The haters that didn't like the shark bodies because they had flat sides are going to be fighting to get one. And you have the guys that were on the fence. This is going to make it's. I'll say that it's different. That's all I'm going to say. It's different.
Chris Jenkins, what torque range running on the Tekin? In all reality, it all depends
All
on
of
the
it.
road.
All of it.
It depends on the road. Play with it. Set it down at 1 and watch your car leave like a snail. And put it at 10 and
Okay, I'm
see if
putting
it
it
blows
back.
the tires off. And find the happy medium. The first time I set my Tekin to 1 on the torque setting, I punched it, and the car was like, I was like, what? Did I burn it up? Or?
I'm gonna show it off for Ricky because Ricky, we're all into RC10s. We're all old school RC guys. So this is one of the old. This is one of Ricky's new cars that he acquired. This is one of the old ads for the RC10s with Jam and Jay Halsey on it, and it's just a really cool picture. But to set the picture in front of the car
Turn the car around.
is.
It's a mess.
And in some aspects, Ricky's is nicer than the one in the picture, so it's pretty cool. I dig it. I've been looking at it all night. Yeah, good job, dude. This is a good find. Super cool.
Handmade roll cage, metal roll cage.
All handmade. Early car, not a scratch on it. Original A stamp.
Yeah, if you look closely, he's got an aluminum Kirky seat in it and stuff. There's some trick photography there. like the oil filter.
Yeah.
Hey, that's your RC10.
I got this guy in New York. Well, you saw the Andy's car. That's from this guy. They're both from the same.
Yeah, we're gonna do a vintage night here in another week or two, and we all got some stuff coming. And
I think it's gonna have to be at my house because I
Yeah.
got way too many damn cars to haul.
yeah, I got some vintage cars, and Randy's got some vintage cars, and we love our vintage cars. It's where all our roots came from.
I think I'm up to 30 buggies now. I just got.
It's ridiculous.
I just bought a new one, 4-wheel drive. That's gonna be those are gonna be top shelfers.
You should get like 20 of them and pull them all together, and use a mixing board for all the speed controls and motors, so they all drive to the same. You gotta do something. You know what you ought to do is maybe in another month or so, is finally have a show. Remember we were gonna have a show at Kelly's. We'll go out there we'll go out there the day before to clean the track up and stuff, and then do a vintage day and run some of the old cars. You know, we have as many of cars like this that we have that will never see dirt or a track or anything because they're shelf queens. You'd be stupid to run that car. We love our RC10 runners. You know, we got runners that we use and we beat up, and this is actually my 7-year-old daughter's RC10. So yeah.
I put a Phantom Team 17.5 in my car, my RC10.
Yeah.
I think I'll rip a wheelie off.
It's faster than the Trinity 7.
Up with a Hobbywing just stock.
Oh really? I had to buy a setup because not only did I need the ESC, but the slowest motor I have is a 10.5, and that's going to be a lot of power in that car.
Bill Hagney, Ricky, I was at your house tonight. You have a shitload.
Yeah.
I've sold off 90% of all my modern RC stuff and
Went vintage.
investing in vintage stuff, hoping that it's worth money down the road.
So Scott Fisher, thanks for watching, bud. Said thanks, guys. I have been struggling with the R1 tuning. So if that's one guy that we can help off of doing this, we're not electrical engineers. I'm just kind of relaying what I figured out in the, I don't know, I guess 2 or 3 race days I've raced this year with the R1. What I've figured out and, kind of some of the sweet spots of what really makes the speed control work like we need it to work. With at the same time feeding you a starting tune. So if we can help, 1 or 2 guys, that's awesome.
Tony, I got a handful of it at my
Cameron,
house now.
Cameron Lipsicone. I'm not going to say because I don't want to get anybody in trouble for anything, but not that it's anything bad. I just want to say I know what you've done, and thank you very much, sir. Remember the stacks? No. Yeah, let's not make it that obvious. Thank you very much, Cameron's. I have to send Cameron a hat, a 707 hat, because that was really nice of him to do. He went way out of our way, way out of his way for us. So, Big
Hey,
Paul's
Ricky.
watching. Craig Phillips.
My end RPM is 35,000, and my motor pulls 60,000 at full tilt. Will it continue the timing all the way through the 60,000?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Wait, say that again?
He has it set to 35,000, but his
Okay.
motor, he set a full pull, he can pull 60,000. Will it pull all the way through, even though it's set at 35?
I don't know, because I always max mine out. So, I don't know if that's going to... There's 1 or 2 things that could happen there. Either it will stop there, or it will take the turbo out at that point. I don't know.
if it's gonna-
Boost, and then the turbo comes in.
But if you have it set too low, you see what I'm saying?
I don't know if it's, just stop.
So my understanding with Tekin is the end RPM is when you want everything full tilt.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
not that'd be a question to message Ty and ask Ty directly.
Yeah.
I'm not a sponsored driver. I run them, and I've made mine fast. And
Will Smith runs 0 boost and all turbo.
There you go. Will's another guy that runs Tekin. Got pretty fast cars.
Yeah, Will's fast. Tyler Castro writes, what motor turn are you guys running? We're running 4.5s and 4.0s, but mainly 4.5s. It's just, I started this 3 years ago, and I kind of started a bandwagon here in Sonoma County with the 5.5s, and I just ripped them. And I was looking for a little bit more when I started helping people, because like I said, they started getting closer to me. So I went to the 4.5, and I got even more power out of the 4.5. And once I went to the 4.5, I had a second car, and I started testing, 3.0s and 2.5s, and it just seemed like the 3.5 was about the cutoff point. And even that, you got to have just the right tune and just the right gearing for a 3.5, or it just won't have the torque of 4.5 or a 4.0 will. But for these cars, these 5-pound cars, I have to say that my personal cutoff is a 3.5.
I was always told.
Jeff Rinker says, thanks guys, I'll be ordering the R1 Digital 3 next week.
Check with Jake. Jake sells them, I think, the cheapest you can buy online.
Jake's Performance Hobbies at 707-586-3375, Rohnert Park, California.
You might need to wipe
Just
off your
saying.
camera.
ESC with the Wi-Fi, I think it's $229.
I'm gonna go buy one.
With the Wi-Fi, that's a killer deal.
I think it's
It's
$229.
just like the Hobbywing, you spend $200 on the speed control, and then if you buy the thing or the Wi-Fi, separately, it's $50, right?
They started just combining them. I bought one.
Wow, I look like the Micro Machine guy there. Micro Machines, remember that guy? What's up, Ken Lachelle? I think we're
They wait for us, but we're waiting for them.
yeah, we're waiting for you guys. If you guys got any questions, shoot them out. Yeah, this is kind of
Shoot them out a little bit.
shoot them out.
Shoot them a little bit. Shoot them.
Oh my
I love
god.
some people.
Shoot 'em.
Yep, $229.99.
There you go, Hunter.
Wi-Fi
So
and ESC.
you guys, if you guys don't have a hobby shop, you can't get one around, and your only option normally is to order from Tower Hobbies or from A Main or Hobby Warehouse. Call Jake. He's a small town hobby shop. He's been a local hobby shop for 35 years, and he's got great prices, man. You can't beat that price, and he'll ship it to your door. So, can someone make a pass? Yeah, it's gonna take 15 minutes though.
The hell?
Rabbit fight.
Cottontail
When's the
WWF.
next big event?
When you open your mailbox, Paul, Stiggy Paul, he won. I did a waffle for those weld wheels.
Yeah.
He won a pair. He was about to buy a set from me.
So I wanna do Race Wars again next year at the beginning of September.
Final drive ratio.
What's that?
Final drive ratio.
What about it?
FDR.
Oh, I was thinking it was Brett.
I was looking at it again. I'm like, wait, that's final drive ratio. It's gotta be.
I was thinking Roosevelt.
What's your final drive ratio in the R1?
Franklin D. Roosevelt. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know that I even gave the answer for final drive ratio.
You mean as far as in the tune of R1?
Yeah.
Like I said, that's just a note at this point. So you don't have to do anything there, or you can figure out your drive ratio on a calculator or whatever, or your final drive, and store it there so that if you make a change and you forget, you can always revert back and remember what it is. There will be a parameter for that soon. What?
He's just giggling over here.
Gap
Oh, I
Daniels.
saw these. Gap Daniels. I like it.
Wait, what?
Tennessee Gap sauce.
Wait,
I saw these a couple days ago.
I'm moving over
That's
here
what
now.
I Burnt latex and semen. Okay, maybe I should have said that. Oh God, Ricky.
And I'm standing over here.
That smells like
It smells like Lost
No, 'cause
Tekin.
now there's a breeze coming through the door. I can feel the breeze, cold air. Not cool.
It's not cool anymore. It's warm.
David says I own that recipe. Gap Daniels.
What just came out of your butt?
Who said what?
David said I own that recipe. Gap Daniels.
Ricky, you know how to clear a room, dude.
Jeff Rinker says if you do Race Wars next year, it will come from Ohio. You know, Race Wars was too smooth and too good of an event to not do it again.
There was, someone asked how come there hasn't been much talk of Race Wars after the event, and I'm going to say I learned from winning Vegas. After Vegas, it was so much talk and drama and BS and everything else.
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't just enjoy the fact that I won the race, come home. I just got wrapped so much into drama. That's why it was kind of like the guy won. He won. Everyone else that was there knows who won.
He was a super nice guy too.
He was humble. He was quiet. He was cool.
What was his name again? Ray.
Ray Gone.
What was his name again?
It was Ray Gone, yeah. A really nice guy. He was a Cali guy.
I mean, I didn't want it to turn into the big. I'm gonna
Coast
say it
always
on
clear
the air
room.
shit show that it did for me.
It did. It turned into a shit
So
show.
it was like, yeah, I won a race, and then all the haters came out. So that's why I kind of kept it quiet. Let him enjoy his win. The dude won the whole thing on 7.81 volts. You know?
Yeah. He had a
If
killer day.
If he wants to go on and post about it and brag about it, by all means, you earned it. But
Any street stock dirt cars still in the 707 stables? That's from Brian.
Yeah, one right there. I just don't have the street stock body on it. It's got the side dam. So I brought back the old side dams out there when I first started racing out there like 4 years ago, and they instantaneously dubbed me Side Dan. What's the Side Dan? Come out, Side Dan. What's up?
Ricky must be running Breaking Wind motors. Yeah, Broken Wind.
Shoot.
Oh, man.
Ghost always clears the room.
That was probably Tony.
That was
Yeah.
Tony. Yeah. They don't only fly, they clear rooms.
Jesus.
At least I didn't get slime.
Sean, you should do
Sean
big race
Greenland.
around the holiday season.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say.
We're talking about doing a cash race around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Because there's a 4-day, most everybody gets the 4-day weekend, so
Oh yeah.
you got Black Friday and then Saturday, Sunday, so Dante messaged me asking if I'd want to help him out or whatever. I got to get with him and figure it out. So, but I think it'd be a good time, if there's guys that want to come down and it's clear weather. That's the only problem is even down here. We don't get as much rain as Washington or Oregon, but our weather's unpredictable that time of the year. So.
It is. Most of our rain happens right after January. We have on and off rains, and then we have like 1 month it just dumps, and then.
Our rain starts October because I remember many Halloweens where
Halloween's
it's just
pouring rain, yeah.
Yeah.
Every couple you get
That
lots of
early though, it's kind of hit or miss. It could rain, it might not.
The last few years it's been fire,
Yeah.
raining
Yeah.
embers.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is yes, we'll be running Race Wars again next year. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be badder. All the election and infection stuff will be over. And it went too smooth and too good, and we raised too much money for the kids not to do it again. But it went so good that I'm thinking of maybe around like late February, we'll run a race. We'll put another big race together.
Isn't that when Vegas is?
Vegas is the very end of February.
Whatever. I don't know. I want to do another big race, so.
Brian says they're running next Saturday.
Some dirty oval. Do you still have a dirt oval car put together? That what was it? A modified or a?
No, it's just I don't know what the hell you even want to what it would even be.
Was it a
just a-
Slash?
No, I don't run Traxxas.
Was it Associated car?
Associated car.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
2-wheel drive.
I don't know if I forgot to tag you in or something. Somebody had a really nice Associated setup, dude. I was like, that thing's sick. What's the one that Matt Kidd liked? Is that the Merc?
I don't know.
I don't know. The one I saw was really, really cool looking though, dude. I was like, that's a really nice looking chassis.
Dan. So you can only have a total of motor timing plus boost equals 60 or less. then turbo stacked onto all that and maxes out at 62.
That's what Tekin recommends.
Yeah. So if I say 25, or let's say 30 can, and 20 boost, there's 50, and then another 25, that's 75 total degrees of timing. That's safe. That's a safe. I think I'm up at like 85 or 90 total degrees of boost. I wouldn't suggest going that high until you really get your chassis dialed in, or you're going to meet a curb or another car. You want to make sure that granted, a lot of guys that are just getting into this, and they got a couple guys together in their area, or they're just getting the R1s, that's going to be a solid tune. You're going to be able to go out with your buddies that got the DR10s or whatever and spank them, unless they've modded their stuff. But you can go up from the 20 boost, 25 turbo, like I said, 5, 6, 7 in both ones, and keep playing with it until it gets faster and faster and faster. No, it seems like it's bogging a little bit. Well, back it off a little bit. Same thing with the gear ratio, But no, I don't agree with if Tekin wants to say that, that's fine for Tekin. I don't do that. I don't have a problem. So. I mean, I got probably 200 passes, 300 passes on this R1 right here. I haven't had a problem yet, so it stays nice and cool. It always shows up ready to clock in for work.
Are you guys going to the 916 race Sunday? Actually, that's the first time I even heard about that.
Sunday, I will be on my boat. Sorry, guys. Got to take some time away from RCs.
Yeah, and this is for all three of us has become such an overload, helping so many people and doing this show and going to races. For this whole year, and then the stress of our normal everyday lives, and then the COVID thing, and the fires, and we've all kind of wanted to go. I'm going to go to the race in 2 weeks, but this weekend I'm going to go out to the lake, or I'm going to go out to the gun range, or what I'm saying, and just kind of do something else and intermingle some other kind of activity with your life to just try and push back from it for a little while. I got a call this morning at 2 or 3 messages on my phone. At 4:15 this morning, and I texted the guy, said, he started asking me questions, and I'm like, dude, it's 4:30 in the morning here. And he's like, oh, man, where are you at, California? And I'm like, yeah. So you guys, if you are on the East Coast, if you're in the Midwest, remember, we're in a different time zone than you guys. You guys can always message me, like 99.9% get back to you that day, probably within a couple hours, but, nothing really pisses me off, but if my alarm's set at 5:30 and my phone starts going off at 4:45 because somebody in Florida doesn't know that I'm in California, that's hard. It really is. So I had another guy go at me at 3:15 in the morning, like Monday night. I'm like, I'm sleeping, bro. Some people say, well, mute your phone or turn your phone. My mom says, turn your phone off. I'm like, well, I use it for my alarm clock. I can't,
It's like that I'm not going to work in the morning.
Yeah, it's why we do the shows. It's why what we set out to do on episode number 1 was to help people. And we had expectations. Not only do we hit those expectations, we blasted through the ceiling. So we've gone, really far above and beyond what we thought we could ever accomplish with this show. And we love helping people. That's why we still do it. But I think I mentioned it like 10 episodes ago. Just be curious. Remember, we have lives and things going on too. So. Any other questions? Are we dwindling there?
Biggie Paul, sorry, Dan, my bad.
Who's that? Oh,
He must have messaged you.
oh yeah. It's like I said, it doesn't piss me off. I get it. If it's your day off or something, you're up at 7:30 in the morning, which I usually am on my day off, and I'm like, I got a question for him. I'll message him.
Y'all can message me at whatever time. I'm
Ricky's
snoring. I ain't waking
Oh,
up.
Ricky's
My phone's
awake.
always on silent anyway, so.
I ain't waking
See,
up.
I don't have that privilege. I can hear a tick on a dog's balls from the next street over. I wake up at the littlest things.
It takes some melatonin.
Some melatonin. No, you know what? I tried that last year for 2 or 3 days, and it gave me really wickedly vivid dreams.
Oh, that sucks. Are we going away?
Like weird ones too. I'd be like butt naked in a KOA campground,
you're still live.
getting chased by a pink elephant, and I wake up and be
One more
like,
question.
"What was that?"
Says my car lags off the line, gets 20 feet out and just flies. I have changed out my sensor wire a couple times and messed with my tune and geared low. It won't go away. Will a cap pack cause that?
Bad cap pack could cause that. But are we talking about a soft hit, or are we talking about a cog?
It just lags off the line. Then it takes off 20 feet out, then it flies.
I need to know more about the car. We all do. What ESC you're running? What, you know? What was that?
That was live.
Oh, we're live now.
You're live.
All right, here's the raffle. Let's go. 2.0 Black Widow.
Okay, goodbye.
Who's it, Tony?
There's his bromance.
What's up, bud? He's in Vegas, right?
Yeah. Did you find my parents out there in Vegas yet?
Not yet.
Just look for an older version of Ricky.
Yeah.
Did they make it?
Yeah, they got there on Thursday.
It's running an R1.
Well, they haven't fucking called me yet. They have guns.
They got guns.
I'm thinking to go shoot.
This is a JPH chassis. This is what Jake at Jake's Performance Hobbies donated for the raffle. This is his carbon fiber built-in house chassis. Very pretty piece. It's low slung. It's light. It comes with an ESC tray. It comes with a servo saver and your steering rods. It's a really, really nice piece. This is a car I'm building for a guy, and it's ready to ship out, except for I'm waiting on Traxxas Springs. So,
Trinity X Factor 4.0 motor is running with his R1. Let's give him lag.
tell him to screenshot me his tune through Facebook. Well, I guess I kind of just did. Well, he's talking to him, so I felt like you were talking to the dude. What would cause the lag? Obviously a bad sensor wire, but he changed that.
Overgeared.
Usually, these big cap packs, they can get tired after a while and get a little resistance in them. But I've never seen one have major amounts of resistance to where it wouldn't work anymore and function, unless it was hooked to a speed control that went tits up, you know? I fried one of my Hobbywing speed controls once and did a resistance test between a new cap pack and the exact same one I had hooked to it when it fried, and they were totally different. I was like, oh yeah, that's got to be bad. You know, it had gobs of resistance. It was like 14.6. I was like, what?
Steve Larson, hey Ricky, were you saying that Tekin was coming out with something new in an ESC?
It's a new software.
An update.
How much can timing is this guy running?
He said he'll message you screenshots.
Yeah.
All right.
Must have been him. No, it wasn't.
Over here. All right, no more questions. 13 on the can.
That's really low, too.
You're welcome.
She says you're welcome.
13 on the can. Really?
13 on the count.
25 boost,
Should we
20
just put him
turbo.
at the end of the table? He's like he's on the show too.
Well, the first thing I do
There
is
we
I'd
go.
swap the boost and the turbo
Baby
around.
T.
So run 20 boost and 25 turbo. But that still wouldn't cause a heavy lag off the line.
Check sensor wire.
So he's changed it like 4
changed it out.
times.
That's your buddy, Matt,
That was fun.
Luke Man.
I'm not texting me then.
He's the one asking the questions.
Yeah, we can get to the end of it, or I mean to the bottom of it.
I'm running a Phantom ESC. Should I upgrade to an R1?
Yes.
Yeah. The Phantom ESCs, the 8 scales are phenomenal in an 8 scale car. The FR10 is a good speed control for a 2-wheel drive buggy, carpet, clay, maybe even a sprint car or or an on-road car. But we did some testing with the FR10 to go completely Phantom, and the FR10 just would not handle the amp load that we threw at it. It just constantly fell on its face. So if you're running an FR10 and you have the means to jump up to an R1, freaking all day long, it's a no-brainer.
Nice.
Got problems.
I think you started a
Where's
trend.
Cadence? What's up, buddy? You act like Noe.
God, I look fat on TV.
Put some more.
That's 'cause
Put
I'm
more
fat.
ranch.
They add 10 pounds.
Put some more.
It's because I had a pizza tonight and I got it in my belly.
That's how you eat it, right there. That's how you eat it.
Any more questions?
Ain't nothing. I'm ready to wrap it up.
All right.
All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us for
707 Streetcars. Signing
episode
off.
episode number 27, covering R1 Works Digital 3 ESC.
Sure.
If you guys have any questions, even if it's something we don't know, we'll help you figure it out. I'd like to talk more with Matt maybe tomorrow, and trying to help him with this lag problem. But thanks for joining us. As always, I'm Daniel Judd, your host, and I got my teammates here, Randy Viera and Ricky
Randy always
Bellotti.
puts his hand in it.
And we'll see you guys next week. Peace. And Tony Cortez.
We're out.